Hello everybody and welcome to another Dwarven Tavern review. This time, well, it's really good to have a nice sharpening steel. And they're not just for kitchen knives either, because the steel aligns the blade. It aligns the metal of the blade in the right direction. It doesn't actually take any metal off, which is why they're so desirable to keep your edge as opposed to honing and honing and honing. But a knife like this is very difficult. This is like it's kind of like a karambit in a way, but it's a lot more like something that just is made to kill freaking everything. I don't even know where I remember where I got this. But this time we are going to be discussing the brand new D&D Out of the Abyss, which, as you can see, there's big old Demogorgon himself there. This is $49.95 retail from Dungeons and Dragons, of course. It's D&D. It's DungeonsandDragons.com, and it's under the Rage of Demons. And I remember a time in the dim and distant past. What album is that off of? In the dim and distant past, as I said, there. So, this book is a. Let me read the back of it. The Underdark is a subterranean wonderland, a vast and twisted labyrinth where fear reigns. It is the home of horrific monsters that have never seen the light of day, like blind cave fish. Those things are scary. And I had one. Oddly, I had an aquarium, and it had a blind cave fish. And the cave fish, its eyes have evolved out, which totally blows creationist theories just completely away. Because if you were a vast and beneficent being who wanted to create fish that didn't need eyes, would you give them eye sockets? Probably not. And yet, there they are, eye sockets, no eyes. And they were always the first to know that there was food in the tank. Just like that. Bam. You put food in the tank, the blind cavefish, they were like poking around at the bottom. And you put the fish food in, and they'd be like, zoom, up to the top. So, yeah, take that. People who don't like blind cavefish. It is here that the dark elf Gromf Beanra, which is B-A-E-N-R-E, and the A-E diphthong is E. It makes an E sound, like Mycenae E. If you are into history, like some geeky people are. And Archmage of Minzo Baranzan casts a foul spell meant to ignite a magical energy that suffuses the Underdark, and he tears open portals to the demonic abyss in the process, of course. What steps through surprises even him, and from that moment on, the insanity that pervades the Underdark escalates and threatens to shake the Forgotten Realms to its foundations. Shouldn't that be the Forgotten Realms to their foundations? I mean, if they are realms, if it is plural, but then again, maybe not. Stop the madness before it consumes you. And it is a Dungeons & Dragons adventure for characters of level 1 through 15. So, this book is an adventure, of course, and it is meant to be an ongoing thing, obviously, from levels 1 to 15, right? So, it is, of course, episodic, and I believe, from what I've read, that the chapters are not necessarily supposed to be played in a single session. So it could take a while, just depending on your style of play and whatever. The Prisoners of the Dro, Chapter 1, The Prisoners of the Dro. I say Dro. You can say anything you want. You can call them bananas. But I say Dro. Don't judge me. And there's plenty of examples where OW makes the O sound and OW makes the ow sound, as in the word ow. You don't say, oh, that hurt. Right? Although I'm probably going to start saying it like that from now on. Oh, ouch. Right. So, The Prisoners of the Dro, it covers 12 pages. It starts on page 4. And it's Escape, The Adventure Begins, and The Slave Pen, The Dro, Velkenvelve, Leaving Velkenvelve, and the XP Awards. Okay. And as you can see here on page 19, it has a lot of nice illustrations. It's all full colored. I love the pages. The pages are kind of a half glossy, half matte, as if there would be half glossy and half gorilla. It has to be half matte if it's half glossy, right? And here on page 13, Velkenvelve, or Velkeinvelve, or Vilkenvilvi. Pronounce it as you choose. I shall not judge. Unless it's stupid. Then I will judge you. And the XP Awards, as it goes through this. And of course it has, all of the maps. I'm not going to actually... very important thing. I'm not going to actually show you what the maps look like. I'll show you a couple other illustrations, such as the character effigies on page 8, and this image of Ilvara Mizverm 1995, or 1650, from her age, it looks like. That was a Miss America connotation, if you hadn't caught it. Ms. Verm. And it goes through each thing, each part, such as, and I can't really say anything because I don't want to give anything away, of course, no spoilers. Then it goes through chapter 2, which is Into Darkness, as if you didn't know. That's not a spoiler. Couldn't be. We're going into the Underdark. Is there darkness? Yeah, I'm sure. Death is one of the headings here. Allowing the chips to fall where they may in combat emphasizes the challenging nature of this adventure. However, if the characters start falling just as fast, you might want to give the player some opportunities to return dead characters to life during lower levels of their progress through Out of the Abyss. So, you can, they have a spell scroll of raise the undead, that they can find. You can put that in haphazardly if it's too tough for them and you don't want to nerf it. Which you're free to do that too. There's a lot of different ways to nerf a thing without making it seem horribly nerfed, such as making an encounter with a creature that is not at full health. He just came from a battle and is actually escaping from a battle when he encounters your characters or your players' characters, whatever. A strange Fearsress effect can bring fallen characters back to life, but not without a cost. And if a character's body is lost or left behind, the party's Dro pursuers find it, and the Dro High Priestess can raise the dead, and to be questioned and tortured and all that good stuff. So, if the character escapes or whatever, you can turn that into a little side thing. for your the fallen, and so forth. So there's lots of ways to deal with death other than they just die. If they do just die, which you can play it that way too. You can convert, and it has some suggestions for that, like converting a group's non-player character allies into a player character. Just say, okay, well, you can play this guy. And do it like that. I've done that before. I've also had player characters or players play non-player characters in a campaign. For example, I have the Saints campaign that I often talk about. And one of the characters, one of the NPCs, had to be a turncoat, and had to turn on one of the player characters, specifically Tavernier Lissa's paladin, Kelsian, was doing this semi-solo side quest thing with an elf, and the elf was a betrayer because he had such a nationalistic fervor that he thought the guy he was following, which was not Kelsian but another priest, an elven priest, who was turning orcs good. He was converting orcs. That's how good the guy was. Converting orcs to good, and this elf wasn't going to have any part of it, so he played along until he could get the guy alone long enough to kill him, because he thought he was betraying all of elfdom by even thinking of consorting with orcs in any way, even if it was to convert them. He wanted them all dead. So he turned on Kelsian, and Tavernier Ian played the elf turncoat and fought, killed the high priest that he was going to kill, but Kelsian was there and wound up killing the elf. And it was incredibly cool because Tavernier Lissa was so taken aback by this elf's betrayal that it made it really cool. Neither here nor there, however. I digress a little. And then it talks about the fungi, of the Underdark, and all the different edible types of fungi. And how it's got information and advice on how to narrate the journey, Drow pursuit, narrow escapes, tracking the party, pursuit level, being captured, and random encounters. All the information you need to play this, to play it well, and to play it in context, and kind of like your homework, you know what I mean? It's doing your homework. You just have to read it. It seems to be a lot of information in there. Then it goes through the all of the episodes, the word I'm trying to look for, in various chapters, like Into Darkness, The Dark Lake, Glackstug, or Glackstew, Neverlight Grove, Blinding Stone, Chapter 7, Escape from the Underdark, Chapter 7, Chapter 8, Audience in Gauntlgrim, The Mantal Dareth, Descent into the Depths, Graven Hollow, The Tower of Vengeance, The Worm Writhings, the Labyrinth, The City of Spiders, The Fetid Wedding, like the Red Wedding, perhaps, Against the Demon Lords, and then it goes, and that's the last one. So as you can see, it very distinctly goes up in level as you go. I mean, you start out fighting, just trying to survive and escape the Drow. And then fighting things like, let's take a look here. For first levels, it would be fighting things like madness, exotic fungus, mold, ambushers, such as giant spiders, gricks, orogs, piercers, even the occasional umberhawk. That's pretty BA for a low level, and so forth, to all the way up to against the demon lords, which would be the 15th level stuff. So it seems to be doing a good job of staying true to the pacing. And then, of course, here on page 16, I wanted to read what it said about XP awards. In addition to the XP awards earned for overcoming creatures in this chapter, escaping from Velkenvelv earns the characters a special award of 150 experience points, divided equally among all party members. So, they've kind of perhaps swayed away from that special award of that milestone award where you can just level them up when you see fit. You can still do that, of course, which I think is a wonderful idea always, to be able to do that if you feel your characters have, if they've gone above and beyond. Just say, well, you may have the next level, and make it official, like with the gavel. You may have the first level, or the next level. So, of course, the artwork is tremendous, and they have really strayed. I won't say strayed, but they have departed from your typical, and not even typical, from your. Well, I guess it is typical. Typical doesn't mean bad, but they've gone into, like here on page 50, the grackle stew. It's very stylistic artwork, so it's more art than illustration, which I think is incredibly cool. Then, when we get back into the back of the book, page 221, it starts the appendices, which we shall go to. And the appendices, modifying background, it gives you substitute bonds the characters have instead of the bonds of their backgrounds. You were once lost in the Underdark, and a group of Kuo-toa helped you find your way out. You learned that there are kindly folk even among that otherwise mad race, and remain indebted to them for their aid. Pretty cool. Then in Appendix B, it covers magic items like Dawnbringer, and these are specific items. A stone speaker crystal. Sure. Then it has the creatures from the rest of the book in Appendix C, starting on page 224, like the Darrow, the Ixaxatl, the male Steeder. Then it has creature variations, troglodyte champions, the Duergar. That's how I pronounce it. It could be pronounced phlegm, but I think it's Duergar. Chules, Drow, Hook Horrors, the Chamberlain of Zuchtmoy, male and female Steeders, the Grisha, the Narak, and so forth. Then in Appendix D, it has the Demon Lords, like Baphomet, or Baphomet if you're French. This is Baphomet. Then it has Demogorgon in it, and Fraz Urblu. Very, very cool. Very cool. Grazed. Jublex, or Juiblex, the Snot Lord. Of course, Orcus is covered. And, we've in Yeenagu, the Demon Lord of Knolls. zombies, I think, also. Or ghouls. Sorry, ghouls. Which, you know, he's also, he's like trying to usurp the undead title from Orcus, you know. And these are all demons and things that we've seen before, but never in you know, not in the 5th edition. Because remember, this is 5th edition. And while they seem somewhat nerfed, they, alas, are designed for the 5th edition, which, I mean, they don't have as many. You're not going to find Demogorgon in 5th edition have as many hit points, for instance, as Demogorgon in 3.5 or in Pathfinder or whatever. However, it's a different system, so there it is. So, this is it's an excellent book. It does what it's supposed to. It's got really good pacing. It has really good illustrations. There's even a thing in the back with some really cool illustrations, like on page 252 and 253. It's got these really cool illustrations, and I enjoy them tremendously because the visual makes it easier to imagine. If you can see it, you don't have to imagine it. It's right there. You can see it. So it helps. We're going to give this 5 axes, another great release from Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast. It was also, and you know how I am about this. I'm not a name dropper, but it was also but I feel like this needs to be said. It's also a collaboration. There we go. From some of the folks at Green Ronin, who do the Mutants and Masterminds and Freeport and all that stuff. We're going to be reviewing that a little bit later, but it's got a ton of story creators and designers. Chris Promise from Green Ronin was one of the designers, and so forth. So it's a good book. I'm going to give it 5 axes because it is a good book. Looks like it's going to be a great adventure. We haven't played through it yet, but you know, I've been doing this for a while, so I can kind of guess that it's going to be good. The names are cool, and so forth. So it's pretty, and you know, and it has all of the necessary information to effectively play an adventure. I mean, it gives you tips and tricks throughout. So this could totally be your first adventure out if you wanted to do it that way. If you wanted to go the demon route, this would be a good first Dungeon Master thing because it has all the information there that you need, which I like, which is why it's getting 5 axes. So don't forget to look them up at dungeonsanddragons.com and get this. Is your 5th edition. It doesn't work with the Pathfinder and the other gaming system, Hackmaster, Castles, and Crusades, because it's D&D 5th edition, which is fine, but it's still a good buy for 5th edition. And so look them up. Don't forget to look us up at dwarventavern.net. Tell us what you think. Leave a comment on down there, and subscribe and like us and all that good stuff. We love that. So, on behalf of the entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am Dr. Jeff Goins, bringing you the Out of the Abyss D&D book review. It's a good book. I like it. I like it a lot. And we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure. And at first I feared it, then I charged, and I killed both of his heads. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Let